This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia with a tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, St. Pete Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, Houston, you have me, Gilbert Garcia, with another tip for me. Talk, inspiration, and prayer. And, of course, we are celebrating our veterans this weekend because it is Memorial Day. And I'm going to have a Memorial Day prayer in just a moment as I get it back up on my phone. And we're also celebrating that my daughter, Juju, and everyone in Houston knows Juju because I talk about her like every other show, graduated. And in case you're wondering, parents, I am crying. I've been crying for 2-3 weeks, actually 2 or 3 months, and I'm still crying. But I have a guest of mine, Amanda Edwards, who, of course, we all know her in town. Actually, we all know her. Actually, she's known nationally, but we all know her from her time working hard to help people in New Orleans. We know her from being a Houstonian. We know her from being a wonderful lawyer, graduated from Harvard Law School. We know her because she was a member of council doing all kinds of great things. And, of course, she was very active and came this close to being a member of Congress. And, of course, now she's running again for District 18. So, Amanda Edwards, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Gilbert. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being here. Now, let me ask you something, because I've always wanted to ask you this. When you were young, Amanda, of course, for you, that's like 3 years ago. But when you were young, Amanda, walking the halls, where'd you go to elementary school?
So I went to a small Christian school called Our Savior Lutheran. Went from 1st to 8th grade.
Okay.
And so it's one of 60 graduates from there. And then I ended up being one of 1,000 from Eisenhower High School in my freshman class.
Small change, right? When you were walking the halls there,
yes,
did you ever think, one of these days, I'm going to serve the people?
You know,
how did that happen?
So, honestly, I've always been interested in leadership. So I think since I was young, I was always interested. I think for me, my interest in leadership got very serious, actually, when I was growing up because of my father's illness. So when I was,
what was that?
When I was 10 years old, my dad was diagnosed with something called multiple myeloma, which is a really aggressive form of cancer that took his life when I was a teenager. During that process of me witnessing my father undergo treatments and endure his process and the journey, I remember learning what our U.S. healthcare system was or wasn't by way of me asking my dad a lot of questions. And so in particular, I would ask my dad, what would happen if the insurance company that I was learning about, what would happen if they said no to his life-saving treatments? And I'll never forget, my dad would say to me, well, we just have to figure something else out. And at that time, when I was asking those questions, probably a young teenager at that point, but I knew that was not the right answer.
Right.
And that the right answer should have been that we actually have systems in place that actually work. So from a really early age, probably in my early teens, I got a very serious perspective about what public service, government, politics, all this stuff, leadership stuff should actually be about, because I was sitting here on the other side of this because I want my father to live. And and why do we have a system that looks like this?
And that's one of those things that parents say to their kids, but they don't want you to be scared.
Yes.
Well, we'll figure it out, because they don't want to say what's true.
Right.
Because without those benefits, his lifespan is going to be much shorter.
And these are life and death decisions.
Exactly. And, we're going to come to something sort of in the middle of the show, which is the recent vote on the budget, because Houston, if we haven't talked about in Harris County about voting and the power of voting and what it all means, boy, we mean it now, because there are so many things that people depend on, our most vulnerable citizens that are on the chopping block from this Congress. And we're going to talk a lot about it. So let's come back. So you had a revelation kind of when you, so
I was in high school.
That was an early time for you to understand.
Yeah, that's most people are just, I want to be in charge because I want to lead the class, have my name on something, and for me, I'm witnessing real life and I'm witnessing that, we got a really messed up, a system that is crazy. And so at that stage in the game, which was pretty early, it really gave me a sense of purpose. So my dad died when I was a teenager, but I kind of resolved myself to not let that be in vain. And instead, whatever positive could come from that experience and that pain, for me to be able to make something positive as a result of that.
And you're Catholic, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so and I know that because I know you. People may not know that we know each other. You're pretty spiritually grounded.
Yes.
And where did that come from? Was that your mom, your dad, or your school? Or where did that come from?
All of it. There wasn't a Sunday I missed church.
Is that right?
I went to Christian school until 8th grade. My 8th grade class punishment, if you were talking in religion class, was writing chapters out of the Bible. So I had a lot of chapters.
You know all the chapters, right? I know, because you wrote them all. I got it.
Yes.
I got it.
And so that was the foundation. I was involved in Nice Peter Claver Junior Daughters. I was in leadership there. So always just, and my faith was central. I didn't know anything else other than to have faith be a part of your journey. So my parents, everybody. And so that just was my upbringing. And so it was, it has continued to be my anchor, because people ask, how do you deal with X or how do you deal with Y? And it's not me by myself. I believe God gives you that strength and the fortitude to be able to, deal with the challenges alongside him.
Well, hang on to that thought, because I want to come back to that. We have a caller already.
Sure.
Show me that again. Is there a Dominic on there? Dominic.
Yeah, I'm here.
Turn that down a little bit, especially on Dominic there. Dominic, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here, Gil. This is Dominic. Can you hear me?
You got me, Gilbert Garcia, a tip from me, with, of course, Amanda Edwards, who's our candidate for District 18 Congress. What do you got for us?
Okay, I got two things. Number one, I think on Memorial Day, I think the United States should shut down, except for hospitals and that sort of thing.
I apologize, Dominic. I apologize. Break it up just a little bit. Go for it. Keep going.
Okay. Let's get outside so I got better signal than you. Just a sec. Okay. You hear me better? Is it better?
It's better. Go for it.
Okay. Number one, for Memorial Day, I think the nation should shut down the memory of the men and women who died for you. I think we should get that to the next day. Number two, Amanda, I got questions for you. Your district is ready for those who make reform. There is a number that is very important for acres home. The number is 44. You know where that comes from?
Yes, I do. I don't know if this was not a planted question, but I grew up in that area. So the 44 is about the bus route to Acres Home. So my mom went to Carver High School. I went to Eisenhower High School. So I am very familiar with the 44.
Come on. I will tell everyone that was not a plan.
That was not a plan.
I promise you.
And I agree with you. We've got to also honor those that have made the ultimate sacrifice in terms of the veterans who have served, those that have served our country and lost their lives. So we definitely want to make sure we honor them on Memorial Day.
Now, Amanda, one thing. I think for your campaign, if you know what, I was talking to Willie Davis at City Council last Friday. I met him. And my thing is, I think candidates like you need to get out. And like, for instance, take a day and ride the Metro Route to go through that district. You got to get out of the silo and meet the people.
Oh, yeah, I'm there all the time. I go to St. Monica Catholic Church on West Montgomery and Victory.
Oh, see, I know what that is, because I use that shoe store up the street. That shoe repair shop that's double blocks released on Victory. I know exactly what you're talking about. In the library, I take it to the library. But
yes, correct.
No.
Beulah Shepherd Library.
And right, I'm at a third thing. Since you're going for Congress, I think this is something else to think about. We have 435 representatives and 100 clerks. As the nation is, maybe we need to think about doubling the number of representatives and number of senators number one, on the House side to get represented socially with people. And number two, the more people there are, the less chance that big corporations buying them out. And with that, I know you got other people to talk to. I'm going to let it go.
Thank you very much, Dominic, for calling. All I can tell you is this. It's hard enough managing that Congress, much less if you double that number. And you know what? I think that political money has a way of like air. It'll fill the room. If there's more members, you'll just have more money trying to influence their votes. But I appreciate the thought. And we'll come back to that in a moment because I want to continue with your life story because it's a pretty interesting one. And so you went to Eisenhower High School, which is a big high school.
Big high school. Yeah. I was one of 1,000 freshmen.
Yeah, that's
so I went
amazing.
from one of 60 to one of 1,000.
And what were some of the things that you remember about high school?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, I was involved. I was a student athlete when I was growing up, and so I played volleyball and basketball.
Come on.
And I also was involved in student council. I was class president.
Is that right?
Yeah. I was just basically the version of me that you see now, but probably not wearing the same heels.
How wonderful, though. I did not know.
Yeah. So I really made the most
you
out
were
of it.
Fierce on the court.
Well, you know, actually, yes. And so I was a shooting guard. And it's funny enough, we ended up playing when I was a city council member, having a charity basketball game that we would play against the mayor's office, the city council versus the mayor's office. And nobody knew that I could play basketball.
My God. And I'm sure they're like, I'm going to cover Amanda because, come on, you know, it's just Amanda.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, you're like, schooled them. And like, holy cow, we got to double Amanda.
So it was a lot of fun. Yes.
Oh, my God. How fun is that?
Yeah, it was fun. So I enjoyed it. I had a really great experience. And, you know, I wouldn't trade in my educational journey for anything, like having the small experience that I started with in terms of being in that small Christian school, then going to big public school. It just, you know, exposed me to a lot of different people, a lot of different walks of life. And it was a great experience.
And then you went to Emory.
Then I went to Emory.
And how was that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great fit for my personality. It was, you know, academically rigorous, but it was also, you know, people were engaged on campus. So you weren't like having to be forced to be one dimensional. So I like both. I like being real serious about my education, but then at the same time, I like, you know, extracurricular stuff just like anybody else. So having that mix of both was a good fit for me. I ended up being president of my college at that time.
Oh, how wonderful.
And then I got a chance after I graduated to work for Congresswoman Jackson Lee in DC. So I was in the 18th congressional district 20 years ago.
Is that amazing?
In DC.
Can you even say that 20 years ago?
Yeah, it's so weird, but you see this little gray hair
that
I got now.
Because all I see is some youthful energy.
So
did
20
you know
years ago.
her?
So I worked as an intern in her office in what was called the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation internship program. And so you get placed.
Right.
And so I got placed in her office. And so that's how that came to be.
It was fate.
Yeah. And so I worked there and then went on to Harvard for law school. And
well, let's talk about Harvard because that clearly is the pinnacle of success. It is. And we all know.
Thank you.
And were you, when you first got in, were you surprised? Or you're like, you know, here I am, Harvard.
Well,
or were you thinking like, holy cow, I'm at Harvard. Look at, and to think that, you know, I rode the 4.4 and now I'm not, you know, I'm in Harvard.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people have, you know, imposter syndrome and stuff like that. I didn't really have that experience. I just, again, tying it back to my faith, I believe that God gave me that blessing so that I could be a vessel for change. So never did I feel like I wasn't supposed to be there because I went to Eisenhower. Or, you know, sometimes people walk in with those types of feelings of anxiety or not feeling a sense of belonging. And I didn't feel that because my faith told me something different. And I believe that I was there to absorb that opportunity and really become a vessel for change. Exactly how that was going to look, I didn't know all of the nuances to it, but I knew that that was something that was by design, something that I was going to be able to use to help people in some way.
Is your mom still with us?
She passed away.
She did.
Yes.
Oh, well, God bless her soul.
3 years ago.
Well, what I was going to say is, damn, she's got to be proud of you.
Thank you.
I mean, think about it. Eisenhower, small school, Harvard, elected office. I mean, you've really been an incredible role model for so many people. So Houston, I think the real more to the story is for all the parents that are out there, when your little daughter or your little son says, you know what, I think I want to be a member of council. I think I want to go to Harvard. I think, you know what, help them achieve that dream, because dreams could come true no matter where you are. Isn't that the right? That's the moral of the story.
Right. I remember asking my dad. I said, well, what happens if I get into Harvard? I asked my dad a lot of questions, and I said, could I go if I got in? And he said, yeah. And like nobody ever told me no. And so I like to when I talk to youth, especially youth, but also adults too, we all need this, is that you should only be limited by your own imagination. And so you should not tell yourself no. You should not put your own barriers up. What if I had believed that I wasn't going to get in? That would have, and not applied.
That's
right. And so you can block your own blessings simply by allowing fear to take over. And of course, there is a healthy amount of fear that one should have. And it's not that people who pursue their dreams are fearless, because people say that a lot, that people are fearless. I don't think they're fearless. I think they're just willing to confront their fear and not be guided by their fear. And so when you are able to understand that and then figure out, sometimes it's healthy fear and you shouldn't do something. And sometimes you should be afraid to touch the stove because it's hot.
That's
right.
That's right.
But then
that's how you learn.
That's how you learn. But sometimes it is something you should confront and go after. And so you got to kind of learn when to say yes and when to say no. But ultimately, try to live out that bold dream that you might have. And you got to work hard at it. And I tell people that too, right? Yep. It's not just the end goal and the end result. There's a lot of long nights and hard work and stress and all of that goes with it. But you got to work just as hard. You got to be resilient. So you're going to get those no's, you're going to get rejection. Yep. So what are you going to do when you get them? And that's the question we have to ask and answer. And the most successful people are those who know how to get back up when they get told no.
Well, let me tell you, from a Latino family point of view, I went to the other good school, or a different good school, Yale,
with a lesser football team.
Yep. Yeah. And I remember telling my grandmother, and of course, my grandmother, I think, dropped out in middle school, and I'm one of those families. I'm first generation college, all those things.
Yeah.
And I remember telling her, grandmother, I'm going to Yale, and she said, "Ay, mijito," which means like little one. What did you do? And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "What did you do?" Because you're going to jail. Now, remember, for those of you who are listening, of course, we have KWWJ, Keep Walking to Jesus, KYOK, KCOH, Latino Sports. Of course, you know what I'm talking about, and San Geek Radio. In the Latino world, sometimes we have a difficulty with our Y's because we think of the double L's, and she goes, you're going to jail.
Oh,
so that's a true story. Hold that thought. We have a special guest because I asked him to call in.
Okay.
Eric, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Eric, this is Gilbert Garcia with a tip from me with Amanda Edwards, who's one of our Democratic candidates for District 18 Congress. And, of course, she was on council. She's done a lot of wonderful things. And Eric is the head of the Texas Unidos Party, which is the old Raza Unidos. Is that right, Eric?
Similar. We used to be called National Council La Raza, but
that's right.
Unidos
That's right.
US. Yeah.
Excuse me. So tell me, Eric, because I know all the great things that your your organization does. And if I'm not mistaken, was that Ramsey Muniz?
It was Raul Seguirre.
I knew Isaguirre real well. We founded a group together called the NAA, New America Alliance.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that very, very well. Well, tell us, what is going on in this state, and what are y'all doing to somehow change the course of this direction that we're going? Because it's pretty scary from where I sit.
Yeah, so I'm the Texas director for Unidos US. We're a national Hispanic civil rights organization. I've been doing a lot of work in the Texas legislature, and of course, we're headquartered in Washington, D.C., so we have our federal team focusing on federal issues. But, speaking to Texas specifically, we've been what we called defend and advance. We've been defending our communities and advancing priorities that we think are good for Hispanic Latino communities. And so in terms of defense, it's tackling a lot of the immigration attacks that are coming our way, defending Medicaid and SNAP, which I know CD18 is a huge beneficiary of those programs. Mm-hmm. And so we've really been focusing on healthcare, education, trying to get some affordable housing built in the Texas legislature. And so we're working on a wide range of issues, but yes, they're keeping me busy these days.
Well, stay with me for a moment because you brought up something very important. And we're going to talk about that with Amanda because she, of course, used to work for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who, of course, we all know was a warrior. She was incredible. And her legacy is, going to be with us for a long time, if not forever. Yeah. The CD 18 probably is about, and if I'm wrong, you can tell me because I don't know for sure, 40%-ish Hispanic, probably 30%-ish African American. Is that about right, plus or minus?
Yeah, 43% Hispanic.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And would you say that a very large population in that district are part of SNAP, which of course is food stamps, part of Medicare, Medicaid, which of course is essentially health care for either elderly or seniors, or health care for people that do not have the resources for health care? Would you say that they're overrepresented versus other congressional districts?
Yes, particularly SNAP benefits.
Yes,
we have the highest level of SNAP beneficiaries in as far as districts are concerned in our community, in our state. And so as a result, the fact that we just passed a budget, and I say we, the House Republicans passed a budget this week that by a margin of one vote, hear me out, by one vote, people were able then to cut $300 billion in SNAP benefits. That's the nutrition piece. And then people were able, this measure also cut almost $900 billion in Medicaid.
That's unbelievable.
These are you're talking about
numbers.
Almost $1 trillion. I mean, it's wild. And the problem when you do something like that, not only is it reckless, it strips away the social safety nets of our society. And when you put people in conditions that are now they're desperate to feed their families. Mm-hmm. They can't go to school healthy and fed and nourished. You're not only just setting up a bad situation for the adults in the community, it's bad for the children. It affects their ability to learn and grow and really become and reach their full potential. Yep. So it's going to have much further reaching implications than simply just you got to skip a few meals. Well, this is a very serious undermining of the social safety fabric of our society, and we're creating desperate conditions. It's going to lead to desperate times, and we're going to see that all of this connects to each other. You're going to see crime go up.
Yep.
You're going to see when people can't do the basics. I focus my campaign on what I call meat and potatoes issues. It's not the sexy topic. It's literally just the meat and potatoes. Your economic stability, your healthcare access, and of course your education. Those are those pillars that if you don't get those right,
that's right,
people don't have the opportunity to be who they ought to be able to be, and they can't be able to thrive. And my goal is to create a district and a community where everybody in it, no matter what your background, no matter where you're from, no matter any of that you have the opportunity to be your best self and to thrive. And we can't do that when we take away someone's ability to feed their family.
It's unbelievable. Hold that thought, because Eric, were you surprised at the vote?
I mean, we were expecting it to be very, very close. And so down here, I live in McAllen, so we were trying to push Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz to vote against this bill because she had publicly said that she opposes Medicaid cuts, SNAP cuts, but when it came to voting, it was a different story. But one of the things that I want to highlight is that, we have this open seat in CD18.
That's correct.
If Governor Greg Abbott would have called this election much earlier, like he was supposed to, instead of waiting until November, this bill potentially probably would not have even passed. And so it's important that we look at the ramifications of what our states are doing, like Governor Abbott, who's up for re-election in 2026, the actions that he's taking that are literally tied to the results of votes like this. And so that's one thing. Another thing to expand on, one thing I've been pushing in the legislature is to feed our kids during the summer. The federal government under our summer EBT program would be giving Texas $450 million a year to feed kids during the summer when they're in schools. Governor Abbott and the Republican legislature, a Republican-led legislature, has refused to accept that $450 million to the state of Texas. And that's our own taxpayer dollars coming right back to us. And so,
and why in the world, what's the logic for that? Why in the world would you not take federal funds to help the citizens of Texas? What's the logic there?
Yeah, so a lot of this falls on Senator Kolkhorst, to be quite blunt. She's the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee in the Senate. They rely on her to make these decisions, and her decisions, her reasoning is that, one, they don't want to create another quote-unquote welfare program, mm-hmm. and two, she's concerned that immigrants are going to take advantage of this program, which, we in Texas, we don't ask immigration status when kids are enrolled in school. But the immigration population in our schools is quite low compared to the amount of kids that will be fed under these programs. And so that's a lot of the reason that we're told.
Well, somehow, last I heard, hunger doesn't ask you, where are you from? And what's your immigration status? I think hunger just is everywhere. Well, let me ask you this. When you think about Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, can you imagine what she'd be doing right now?
Oh,
she would be having protests.
Oh, 100%.
And I know that's what you want to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just one of those things where, we need representation in that district right away, like yesterday.
You have 800,000 people who, when you count it all up and you count the time that Congresswoman fell ill and passed away, and Congressman Turner passing away, and now this delayed election, you're looking at a period of time of almost a year and a half over the last 2 years with no representation.
Yeah, that's a whole term.
That's wild. That 800,000 people. We have 2 major universities in this district. We have downtown in this district. We have the largest airport in this district, and we've got all of these neighborhoods and communities and infrastructure needs in this community. We have not only lost our ability to have a voice, but we've lost our vote. We've lost our advocacy. We've lost our advocacy for federal funding. That's another piece that doesn't get discussed enough. We are getting ready to be in hurricane season, and we're without federal funding support that we otherwise ought to be pushing for. But you have to have your voting member in Congress.
Yep.
And you can't, even though there's staff there, they can answer phones. They can handle some of the constituent response issues that might come about, but they can't push down federal resources to the district.
Let's be real.
They can't go take a vote on the floor.
If you don't have a member, forget it. I mean, staff works hard, but
and what is the saying? No taxation without representation.
That's exactly right. Well, hold that thought, Eric. What are the chances in the Senate? I mean, you hear these things from some of these members of the Senate saying, "Oh no, we're not going to do this." Just like I'm just drawing maybe an unfair analogy to your Monica De La Cruz. Do you really think that's just for the media and they're going to cave in, or you think it's real and they're going to make some substantive changes to the House side?
I think they're waiting to see what kind of pushback members of Congress get in their districts on this that voted in support of it. So one, they're waiting to see what happens there. Two, I think there's going to be some changes. I don't think they're going to take up the exact House bill. And so right now, from a Needless's perspective, we're identifying these senators across the country that we know would be open to either voting against this bill or whatnot. So we don't want to say it's a done deal. There's potential to make changes to it. And so that's what we're pushing for.
Very good. Well, Eric, thank you for joining us. Is there anything else you want to say to Amanda Edwards or to Harris County here?
Yeah, no, it's, at Needless US, we're out there advocating for community. We have a lot of affiliates in the Houston area, like Tejano Center and Serve Jobs. And so they're great organizations that we partner with. And so I just want to give them a shout out.
When I was a young boy, my mentor was Dr. Hector Garcia. And of course, his legacy was SER and GI Forum and all of those things. But I would be a young Gilbert Garcia traveling with him in Austin and even into DC. And so I really appreciate that. Eric, thank you for all the great work you're doing. You're doing the Lord's work. And please keep going.
Thank you. And good luck, Amanda.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your advocacy.
Thank you, Eric, for joining us. Raul Isaguirre, he's an incredible guy, and I remember vividly, meeting him and the whole thing when that was just when he started the NAA, which is a business group of Latinos nationally, and what a great guy. So let's come back. I think we have someone that just called in here before we get to another topic. Go ahead and hit me there, producer. What name was there? Oh, Dario. Dario, are you there? Dario, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is this the Dario, the mayor of Denver Harbor?
the only mayor of Denver Harbor.
the only.
Yes, sir.
And Dario Arellano is a veteran. And I have Amanda Edwards here, who is running a course for District 18 Congress. And Dario, I want you to say a few words because you served in which war?
Korea.
In Korea.
Korean War. Yes,
and you are how many years young?
Are you sitting down?
I'm sitting down.
94.
You cannot be 94 years old.
Yes, and I know Miss Edwards.
Yes, I know.
You are 94 years young because you know what? You have been such an inspiration to me. And before you talk a little bit about what it means to you, Memorial Day and thinking back during your time with the Korean War, I'm going to say a prayer if you don't mind.
Oh, please do.
And I know you're a strong man of faith. And so I picked this prayer. So please join me. It says, Almighty God, even as we celebrate and pray for our veterans today in America, we praise you for being the commander-in-chief of peace and love. We thank you for those who have laid down their lives to bring peace, freedom, and protection to our country. We thank you for the many sacrifices, leaving families and friends, suffering, loneliness, and injury on our behalf. We lift up families of veterans and current military personnel. May they find good communities, supportive churches, and rest in your protection when their loved ones are serving. And we pray for all who have been injured in the line of duty, whether physically or mentally. We ask specifically for healing of those with post-traumatic stress disorder, bring restoration and hope to their lives and their families' hearts. Most of all, we pray that our veterans and current military personnel would find their hope and healing in the Prince of Peace, Jesus. In his mighty name we pray. Amen. Amen. Let me tell you, Dario, when I hear those words, I think it's very important for people to realize our veterans, not only did they serve and not only did many die for our country, were wounded, but when they come back, it's almost for many like they never left. And I think the concept of support and PTSD and those things, just comment on that a little bit, because I'm sure you've seen that with your fellow men and women in the brotherhood there.
Well, first of all, let me tell you this. As you were speaking, as you were saying your prayer, I took my cap off. I always wear my cap, my Korean War cap. And I took it off, and when you got through it, I put it back on. But before I did, I thank God. And first thing that I did this morning when I woke up, I thank God, first of all, for allowing me to open my eyes. And then I thank God for all the blessings that he's given us. I thank God to take care of all the veterans that are still existing. There's not many World War II veterans. There are very, very few left now. Korea War veterans, there are very few left. And I said a special prayer for them that God may bless them. This is very important to me. Today means a lot to me. Today, I thank God because, and I thank all my veterans from Second World War, where had they not served, had they not died, who knows, we may be speaking German today. The Vietnam veterans, I thank them from the bottom of my heart. Were it not for them, we could be speaking Vietnamese. But this country means so much to me. I am Mexicano, pero Americano. Therefore, I pride myself. Whenever I went into the service, I was due for draft. Well, they said, it's going to be a year before you get called in. I said, no, if I'm going to be called in, let's go now, which I did. And I served my country proudly. Gilbert, my country has given me all the opportunities of life that I've had, all the enjoyment I've had. But it's been at the sacrifice of all the fellas and all the ladies that didn't come back. Mm-hmm. And for them, I give thanks. For them, I pray that God has them in heaven and at peace. Gilbert, today is very, very important, especially for each and every one of us. And I thank you for allowing me to say these words. I know you're a busy man, and I won't keep you long, but let me tell you this. God bless you, my brother. God bless you. Amanda, may you succeed in your efforts to become and reach the goal that you're trying to, and God is going to help you. God is going to guide us with us. Never, never give up faith. As we speak, Gilbert, you know my wife. Of course, do you not? Do you remember my
Yes,
wife?
I do.
Gilbert, as we speak, my wife is dying.
Oh.
She's having a lung disease that's no cure for.
Oh no.
But Gilbert, I've already placed her in God's hands because she belongs to God,
mm-hmm.
not to me.
Mm-hmm.
I thank God for 69 years of marriage to my wife. And it's just, I'm with it, okay?
Yes.
And everything's going to work out. I am God's hands as well as you, Gilbert. And thank you for allowing me this little time to be with you. Okay, my brother?
Before you go, let me ask you, and I know Amanda wants to address you too. When you think about being married to someone 69 years, that is such a miraculous thing. I mean, just so incredible. What is the key to 69 years of being a partner, being a best friend, loving your spouse? What for people? What's the advice you have for them listening to this station, this conversation?
Okay. In my lifetime, my wife and I have never been separated. My wife is a liver transplant recipient. I've stood with her right there through all that. She has had numerous illnesses in her lifetime. But, Gilbert, first thing that I'm going to tell you is God's doings, okay? God put us together. And there has to be a lot of trust. A lot of trust. You have to trust in your partner, okay? And then on top of everything else, you have to have that love. You cannot be together with a person if you don't love them. You can't. And if you love your person, your spouse, that's going to be your partner. It's going to be your forever. I'm here every day with my wife. I have her in an assisted living, but I get here at 9 o'clock and I leave here to go back home at 5 o'clock because I represent the love to her that she represents to me.
That is such a beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
I mean, I'm about to cry, Dottie. That's such a beautiful thing. We can only strive to have such a relationship with someone. How beautiful, my friend.
Well, again, God has blessed me. God has blessed her. We've never, even today, I'm here. I'm here with her, and I will remain with her until God calls her home or calls me home. And then even when he does so, we've already, wife and I have a pact. If she goes before I do, Gilbert is going to be waiting for me.
Oh.
If I go, I'll wait for her.
Oh, my goodness. Dottie, I'm so grateful that you would share these words with me and with Amanda today.
Yeah.
Because they're beautiful. And we hear the love in your voice.
And we love you. So you are a servant of God. You have been a servant of this community, and you're not by yourself. We all love you. So just hold the faith as you are enduring this moment and this time in your life. But we love you, and we're going to support you as well. And I appreciate all that you've done, Dario, for me over these years. I remember very well coming out in the community and the work that you've done in your community to give them a voice. And so you've been doing the Lord's work for a long time, and know that we love you and thank you for it.
Well, and I appreciate those words, but let me just Gilbert, I had mentioned to you, had it not been for the pandemic, I would still be having my breakfast, Dadio's breakfast. But of course, the pandemic changed everything. But I had my breakfast, and Amanda can tell you, for 16 years.
Wow.
Yes,
And
he
for
did.
16 years, I paid for everybody. And I used to have from 30 to 35, 40 people.
He'd pack it out. He would. He would.
Well, you know what? When you're ready to have a wonderful what do you call it, reunion breakfast, I'm going to pick up the tab.
I appreciate
you
it. But
just
you know
tell
what,
me.
Gilbert? You know what, Gilbert?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Garcia, you know what? God is so beautiful. God is so beautiful. I don't know where I got the money from, but I had it. I had it, and I was glad to. My only thing was, folks, when you leave here, get something to the waitress. That was it.
Yeah.
And Amanda can testify to that.
That's the truth.
Amen for that.
No lies told.
Well, Dario, please just love on that beautiful wife and hold her tight. And we're praying for you and for your wife. And we thank you for celebrating Memorial Day here with us here on this weekend. So
And
we
thank you for
my
your
friend.
service.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the thanks, and may God put his holy hand on each and every one of you and bless you, and thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a legend he is, right?
Oh
He's
my
like
gosh.
a living legend. He
I
really
was
is.
not expecting him to
Excuse
say 94 years old.
94 years young.
94 years young.
Can you imagine that?
No, I can't. And
Uh,
so to be, sharp as a tack and still doing things in the community, amazing.
When I was hearing him, you know what I kept thinking about? That movie, The Notebook.
Yes, what I was thinking about. Oh my God, that is exactly what I was thinking about. And he's right there next to his wife, and I thought the exact same thing.
Amen.
That is wild
Yep.
that we had the same exact thought.
Hold that thought. I think we have another caller. Is there another caller there? Yes. Connie. Is there a Connie on the line?
Hi, Gilbert. How are you? Happy Memorial Day.
Connie, you have me, Gilbert Garcia, the tip for me, talk, inspiration, and prayer with Amanda Edwards. She's the woman with the plan, and she's got, of course, she's running for House District 18, member of City Council. And I do want to talk a little bit, when we can, about all the great things you did in New Orleans during Katrina. But Connie, what do you got for her or for me?
Well, hi, Gilbert. Thank you so much for having me on. No, Amanda, you are amazing, an inspiration, a woman that we all strive to be like. And I really, really admire all the work that you've done for our community.
Thank
And
you.
I really just want to ask an important question that everybody wants to know.
Yes.
Go.
How do you stay so young looking?
You know what? I think
What's
that's
your secret?
I think all of Houston wants to know that, both men and women. I do think so. Yeah.
Truly, I'll say some of it's genetic, right? My mother looked very young for most of her life and much younger than she actually was. So some of that's genetic, but I would say too, walking in your purpose. There's a sense of joy that comes from that when you get to do the work that you're designed to do. And for me, service is that purpose for me. And so the fact that I get to wake up every day and engage with community members, talk about solutions, try to figure out ways to get answers for people. I love that work. And so that provides me with the energy. So people say, don't you get tired? Yeah. I don't get tired. They're like, don't you need a break? There's parts of this that I don't love. I don't love the politics piece of it. Right. But I love the service component. And so when you get to do that work and engage and inspire people and really see change and be a part of making change happen, there's something about it that's invigorating and very fulfilling.
Imagine you when you're, if you don't mind. So she brought it up.
Yes.
But Connie, can you imagine when she's going to be on the halls of power there in Congress, and people are looking at her and say, "Excuse me, you're the intern where? Am I right, Connie? Am I right?
No, I noticed that. I saw some pictures. I think I saw a text or something, and there was a picture of her when she was younger, and then she had a side by side, and there was another picture. I was like, she looks the same.
She's the same.
The only thing I will say, one of the changes are my eyebrows. Bless my mother's soul, she begged me to let my eyebrows grow back because when I was a teenager, I wanted my eyebrows thin and arched and all of that.
I love your eyebrows.
Well, no, they're natural now, but back then, but at that point, I had already made good on my promise to let my eyebrows grow back, so I was not having eyebrow issues.
Well, you know what? I can't keep my eyes off her eyebrows now. I mean, really,
they're full now, but we had a struggle year.
I mean, they're unbelievable. But no, for real, I was thinking, and I appreciate the question, Connie, because for real, when you run for office, and everybody knows I ran for mayor,
yes.
and you, of course, were in office, etc. It's really 24/7. It really is, and it takes a lot out of your body, and your physical body, but your mental body,
yes, everything
really. And so, do you ever get to, I don't know, have a break? Do your scheduler have like on Sundays from, I'm making it up, 2 to 4? That's your time. You're to do whatever you want. Do nothing, just, rest, watch TV. Do you get to watch any TV anymore? I mean, what's it like?
Yeah, I mean, you're nonstop, right?
You're nonstop.
You're nonstop. And, to be frank with you, kind of getting off of the hamster wheel kind of makes you more tired, if you will.
See.
So
I
if you just stay consistent, I think it's easier to stay consistent. So if you're busy, just stay busy. It doesn't mean I don't sleep ever. I do go to sleep, but, my schedule's full. And, at the end of the day, I'm getting an opportunity to present myself to these 800,000 people that I'm seeking to represent and talk to them, engage them, hear what matters to them. So the time just moves so fast. It's not like you're, sitting there and, in jury duty or something. You're going to meetings, you're engaging people at churches, you're talking to folks at their homes, and you're getting to sit with people like Gilbert Garcia and his radio program. You're doing it all, right? And so the time, although it's very full and it's a lot, it moves by quickly because you really do, if you're like you and me align with your purpose with it, then it's something that also fuels you as well. So it also provides a little bit of fuel, even though it seems like it would be depleting. Now, if it's too much on the politics stuff, that's the part that can be draining on my side. So
I totally get
but
that.
If the community side of it is a recharge for me.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you miss the private sector working? Remember, you were a very successful lawyer.
Yeah.
For many
I feel
years.
like I've lived like all these different lives.
You have. I mean, you really have. And do you miss that? I mean,
I think when I first made the transition to public service, it was a little disorienting a little bit, but I just see it as all of these are just like building blocks in a foundation. So I just, I was in public finance, as you know, and, understanding how public dollars need to flow to public projects is an important understanding that you need when you're trying to direct public dollars into your district as a congresswoman. And these are skills that kind of, you grab pieces of things that you've learned. And so I've had, a lot of nonprofit work that I've done. I've got, I used to be board chair over at Project Row Houses. And so
you were?
Yeah, years ago.
We've supported that a couple times.
Yeah, they're great. And I was their board chair before I got into politics. So
no kidding.
So I've had these like different lives where I've gotten to really dive deeply into things that were meaningful and impactful. And they have taught me a lot. So now that I'm seeking to serve as a congresswoman, I've got a lot of skills, I've got a lot of experience. So it's not just because I'm passionate. It's passion combined with the skills and the know-how to actually effectuate change. So knowing how to make, convert a dream or an idea into reality is something I have a lot of experience when doing, both on the private sector side and doing my public finance work. as well as in the public sector side. And having been a city council member, when I got on council, for example, I learned that Houston was ranked 42 in venture capital investment, which at that time I couldn't believe, but I didn't have an answer for that. And of course, that was impeding our ability to have startups in our community. So I put together a task force to figure out what we needed to do in Houston to reverse course there. Right. We went from just a couple $100 million in VC investment to over $2 billion in less than a span of 5 years.
Wow.
And so that's the kind of, work that you get to do. So you kind of dive deeply into problems that you may not have known existed or opportunities that you need to seize for your community, because that's your job when you're an elected office or holder, is to both deal with problems, but also seize opportunities. And a lot of the times when you don't have vision, then that seizing the opportunity gets missed. That's because you're so busy. You can be 24/7 just on the problems that are presented for you every day. Well, but you got to do both. I call it walking and chewing gum.
At the same time.
At the same time.
Hold that thought. Connie, anything else you got for Amanda Edwards? The woman with the plan?
No. And I don't have any major, listen, people ask me what skincare regime do you do? I just wash my face.
she uses, dial slow.
It's genetics.
Yeah, it's my mom. It's my mom. Yes. And she did the same thing. She didn't do much. She just washed her face. So just wash your face.
Anything else there, Connie?
You. No, thank you so much. And, Godspeed. I hope. I wish you all the best, and I'll be voting for you.
Thank you so much, Connie. I appreciate it.
Way to go, Connie. Thank you for calling in. I hope you call in at another time.
Thank you. I will. Bye.
Bye now, Connie. What did you learn from working with Sheila Jackson Lee?
The needs of the community are urgent. So a lot of times when you are in a role like that, it's easy for people to feel like a little more insular in terms of us in this office and people in the community. And she never was like that. She always felt like it was her job to respond to constituent issues with urgency. And I have a sense of urgency with me based on what I experienced growing up with my father, but also having witnessed that. And so you call somebody's office, in my office when I was a city council member, we had what I call the grandmother standard of care. What is that? That means that you treat that person on the phone the exact same way you would want somebody to treat your grandmother.
Oh, how beautiful.
And so you wouldn't want somebody to say, oh, well, you got the wrong department. Go call somebody else.
I got no time for you.
You wouldn't want somebody to transfer you into the abyss. You would want somebody to hold your grandmother's hand and say, okay, I'm transferring you to this person, introduce them, and then case manage it and make sure that the issue gets resolved. That's what you really want somebody to do for your grandmother.
Yeah, only because you mentioned it. What always frustrates me is when I call something and it, what do you call it? A recording answers and it says, you're calling blah, blah, blah. And your call is very important to me. I'm like, to us. And I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not. That's why you're having a whole for 2 hours.
That's exactly right. And that's why you don't even have a human being answering the damn phone. I don't even know if I can say damn on the radio, but I better not say it. But let me ask you something. I want to make sure that we get some stuff in, if you don't mind.
Yes.
What's your website?
Yes.
I don't know if somebody wants to contribute money to you, how do they do it? Who's your campaign chair? Who's your finance chair? I mean, I want to give all that to you because I think it's important.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to start by saying thank you. We have had an extreme outpouring of support. I got in 13 days before the close of the first fundraising deadline, and we raised $375,000 in 13 days.
Give me some
of
that.
So we had a lot of,
big.
that was a lot of resources that came in because people want to see us win. And so if you want to see us cross this finish line successfully, you have to put gas in the tank so the car can go. So you can visit us at www.edwardsforhouston.com and click on the donate now button. There's also another button where you can actually volunteer. And just as much as you need funding and financial resources, you also need volunteer support as well. They're the ones who make the calls. They're the ones who knock the doors. And so if you're interested in being a part of the change that you wish to see for our district, then sign up to volunteer. You'll get information about what we have coming up, block walks, phone banks, all of that good stuff if you sign up. So make sure you visit our website. Also, you can follow me on social media. So I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter as AK Edwards TX, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Amanda K Edwards TX. And so you can follow us and find what good stuff we're up to and all that good stuff by following us on social media. And when you do, share our content with other people. Share it with your network. That's one way to promote awareness. They're saying that this election is going to be a very low voter turnout election. And so it is up to you. That sharing of that information on your social media platform may be that person's only exposure to the fact that we have a November 4th, 2025 election coming up. This is going to throw people off because there will be no primary for this race. And so normally you'd have a congressional seat, you'd have a primary first, and then you'd have a general election. This is going to operate much more akin to the mayor's race, in which you have everybody on the same ballot at the same time.
And
I
did not know that.
Yes, most people don't.
Well, then what that means,
but that's why you're using your platform to spread this information.
Because that's exactly right. What's interesting is you're going to have a lot of,
there are 23 filed candidates right now.
So think about that. And I bet you almost all of them are Democrats. If you have one Republican that's,
well, it's actually split up. It's actually pretty split up. I looked at it. Yeah. It's like, I think it's like you've got 5 independents, 9 it's like close to 9 Republicans. It's actually more split up than you would think. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So what do you think are the big issues in that district besides you got to have, representation, but what are the big issues?
Meat and potatoes issues.
Yeah.
Economic stability. We are living in a time where our president has, not only does he not believe in the rule of law, but he has attacked our very basics. Economic stability, whether you're talking about seeing your retirement benefits, plummet just a month ago, like most people did, or you're talking about price of groceries still, although the administration's not talking about that anymore now that he's off the campaign trail. Or if you're talking about things like Social Security benefits, those trust funds are going to be depleted by 2035. And so there are lots of discussions.
That's right around the corner.
That's right around the corner for real. And there are lots of discussions on what do you do to keep Social Security solvent. And there are a lot of answers to that need to be explored, other than just saying you got to wait till you're almost 100 to draw down any benefits. And there are people who have been paying into Social Security since they were teens. And so to then make a promise to them then and not keep it is not appropriate. Of course, there will be some after those trust funds run down, it's not as though it completely disappears. You'll be able to have a percentage, but that's not what we promised. Full Social Security benefits is what ought to be delivered. There's also issues around healthcare access. What we are doing with respect to healthcare access, one of the first things that happened when President Trump got into office, he signed executive orders repealing back or trying to push back some of the progress that had been made under the Biden administration as it related to Medicare prescription drug negotiations. Those are progress things that we cannot move backwards on. And before that, we had seniors in this country that were rationing prescription drugs.
Come on.
They were taking their prescription in the morning and then taking something over the counter at night. Now, good and well that we are a society that can do better than that. I believe that a society ought to be judged by the way it treats its most vulnerable residents. And I think that seniors, especially those that are on fixed incomes, are some of our most vulnerable. So to knowingly have seniors in conditions such as those is unconscionable. And those are some of the things that we're talking about. Also, there's education, Department of Ed getting stripped.
If it even is going to exist anymore.
Well, that's right. No Pell Grant. I mean, they're going to take away your Pell Grants. They're going to take away a lot. Title I funding.
Those are all student loans.
That's
for
correct.
Everybody out there, please.
Yeah. So we're going to take away all of this access to education. So we're not educating people. We're not allowing them to be economically or stable or healthy. And so when you don't have your health and your wealth, what do you have? And so we're in a position where the very tenets of what makes us be able to thrive are being stripped away. And I would also say, just for the 18th, again, federal funding, we got to get those infrastructure dollars in. That is in paramount importance because we're getting ready to be in another hurricane season, and we have got to make the right investment so we can keep our residents safe.
Well, you're looking at someone who would have never been able to go to school without government subsidized student loans.
Well, not today.
I could have never gone to school. You know what? I'm going to date myself. Do you know the show Cara Burnett?
Yes,
Okay.
I know it. So I guess I'm dating myself too.
Well, of course, you were a toddler.
I was a kid, but I remember my grandmother used to watch it.
There was a song at the end where it says, "I'm so glad we had this time together," and it says, "So we got to say so long." Guess what? An hour's over.
No.
Yes.
That went by. See, I told
you.
It goes by. I tell y'all, it's like, how do you do that? It's fun.
It's fun. And you know what? I'm going to give you, because we have 2 minutes, and we're going to have a 30-second commercial. We'll probably bleed into that. I want to give you a minute to look into that camera. Tell Houston and Congress, your voters in Congressional 18, what you want to say. And I want to say, I felt like there's a lot of things we did not cover. So I want to bring you back again. Will you commit to come back again? I want to bring you back again. I am committed to coming back again. Maybe do it a little bit closer. Yeah. But I want to have maybe near the end of summer. I want to have you again.
I would love that.
Because we didn't cover half the things I wanted to cover with you.
I would love that.
So there you go. You got it right there.
Okay. Well, hello, Houston. I'm Amanda Edwards, your former at-large Houston City Council member running to be the next Congresswoman for the 18th Congressional District. If you want change in your community, if you want to be able to trust your leader and get results, I am the person for you. I know that November 4th, 2025 seems far away, but it's not. Make sure you make your voice heard. Our education, our healthcare, our economic stability, all are on the ballot in addition to your future. So when people say elections don't matter, I beg to differ. And I know that you know that elections do matter. And I'll close with the adage that if you're not at the table, you are what's on the menu. And I know the 18th Congressional District doesn't want to be on anybody's menu this time. So let's make sure we turn out to vote. My name is Amanda Edwards, and I kindly ask you for your support so that we can get the results that we are looking for and deserve in our community.
All right. I think we have no time for the commercial, but this is Gilbert Garcia saying we'll see you next time. And you know what? Remember, as Amanda Edwards says, wash your face, because that's the key. And remember, we love those eyebrows. Bam. This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia with a tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, St. Keith Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. It's a take.